So this week I was talking to a friend of mine about the stock market, and I was telling him about two investment ideas I have, about two Brazilian stocks that I think are set to go higher, like considerably higher. And these stocks are Qualicorp, which you can see here in my screen. Qualicorp has fallen since its historical peak around 95%, okay? 95%. And the other name is Unifique, which since its historical peak has fallen around 50%. And I told this friend of mine that I think both Qualicorp and Unifique are going higher. Actually, I think Unifique will eventually surpass its historical highs. So I think Unifique can come back to 8.2 reais. And it's always interesting to show these kinds of charts to people because most of them don't believe that a stock that has dropped more than 50% can recover. Actually, if you tell people that you are putting your money in a stock that has dropped more than 50%, most of them will think that you are throwing your money at the garbage. Because as most people think, if a stock has dropped more than 50%, I mean, there must be something wrong with it, right? It cannot be a good company. But you know, the market is not efficient. A lot of times it exaggerates both upwards and downwards. This means that sometimes you can find great assets, great companies, trading for pennies. But I really believe Unifique will come back to these price levels eventually because this company is so much better now than it was during its IPO. And I think they will keep improving the results. So for me, it's a matter of time. And by the way, this is not investment advice, okay? But I told this to my friend, but I know that he didn't buy the story. I know he doesn't believe that Unifique will come back to 8.3 reais. After all, as he said, from 3.8 to 8.3, man, it's such a long way, right? It really seems impossible for such a movement to happen. But I don't know why people don't believe such movements can happen. I don't understand why they are so skeptical about them because such repricing movements happen all the time. They are extremely frequent. I mean, how many stocks have recovered after dropping more than 50, 60, 80%. But look at Moody's, for example, which is a stock I was taking a look at the other day. Moody's Corporation has dropped since its 2021 peak around 40%. But even so, it managed to recover. Actually, this stock went far beyond its previous historical peak, right? Now, let's go further back in time to see what happened during the 2008 financial crisis. Okay, so during the 2008 financial crisis, Moody's Corporation stock dropped 80%. 80%. That's a lot. But even so, this stock managed to recover, going much higher than ever before, as we can see here. Okay, it took around 5 years for it to recover, but it happened. My point is, sometimes some stocks can drop so much that you just think they're finished. But that's not always the case because if you're dealing with good companies that keep improving their results, their fundamentals, and that at the same time are trading for very cheap prices, I mean, it's probably just a matter of time before these stocks start to go up and before they surpass their previous highs. Now, coming back to the Unifique subject, my friend also told me that, okay, it may happen, the stock may recover, but man, it can take 10 years. It can take a decade. And it's true, it may take a decade for Unifique stock to recover. And honestly, it's very hard to time these things, these price movements. And well, that's why I don't try to do it. But at the same time, you know, it usually doesn't take so long for these kinds of movements to happen. Actually, sometimes these repricing movements can happen really fast and come from nowhere. Look at Ambipar stock. This stock spent more than 2 years just dropping, okay? This stock fell since its peak around 90%. 90%. But then suddenly, in just some few months, this happened. Okay? Ambipar stock went from 8 reais to 134 reais. Okay? That's more than 15 times in less than 6 months. So in the end, you never know how much time it can really take for an investment to play out. But certainly it's not because a stock has dropped more than 70%, for example, that it won't rise back again. Well, that's it for today, okay? That was the lesson of today's video. See you next time.